Great, Luke. If we can have the presentation shared on the screen. So we'll give it one more minute because I see some people are trickling in, but welcome to everyone else who's joining in. All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone for our info session on program evaluation. My name is Mashood Chaudhry, and I am the manager of sales and recruitment for the Chang School. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we're on, upon which the Toronto Metropolitan University is built. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. I want to pay my respects to the Indigenous peoples, elders, and ancestors who stewarded and cared for the nature and people who lived on the land where TMU is located today. At the university, we made a deep and long-lasting commitment to truth and reconciliation. I invite you to learn more about this work online. Now I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or the presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions by typing your questions into the question box of the control panel. You may send in your questions anytime during the sessions. We'll be answering the questions at the end of the info session. I'd now like to introduce our guest speakers for today. Aubrey Wilson, who's Program Director for Continuing Studies at the Chang School. Priya Nipik, Director of the School of Health Services Management in Ted Rogers School of Management and part of our curriculum committee. And Fiona Deller, who teaches one of the courses. Aubrey will provide a brief overview of the certificate and how it can help you develop your skills you need to build your career. And Priya and Fiona will talk about some emerging trends and their journey in the sector. So welcome everyone, and over to you, Aubrey.
Great, thanks, Mashood. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this information session on our fully online postgraduate certificate and program evaluation. As Mashood said, my name is Aubrey Wilson, and I'm the Program Director for Continuing Education at the Chang School. I'm thrilled to guide you through this exciting opportunity that can enhance your career prospects and your professional skills.
Good.
I am going to go off camera now because I'm getting a message that my internet connection is unstable, so sorry about that.
I didn't know you were,
So let's take a moment to go over some quick facts about our program or postgraduate certificate and program evaluation. So first, this program is delivered fully online, which offers you the flexibility to study from anywhere. You'll progress through 4 courses that are taken in sequence, which will allow you to build on your knowledge systematically. The program can be completed in as little as 1 year, but you do have up to 3 years if you need a bit more time to balance your studies with other commitments. As you can see, the total cost of the program and all 4 courses is approximately $3,800 Canadian. In order to join, you'll need an undergraduate degree or equivalent professional experience. So if you're unsure as to whether your qualifications meet the admissions requirements, please don't hesitate to reach out to our client services team. They're here to help you navigate the process and answer any questions that you might have. So with that, let's discuss who this program is designed for. So first, it's perfect for those who already hold an advanced degree in a research-intensive field. So whether that's in business, the humanities, health, or in another area, and are now seeking a career transition outside of academia. So if you're looking to apply your already honed research skills in a new and impactful way within the field of program evaluation, this program offers the specialized knowledge and credentials to help you make that shift. Secondly, the program is designed for professionals who are already employed in roles related to program evaluation and are looking to pivot or advance their careers. So if you're seeking to deepen your expertise, take on more significant responsibilities, or to move into leadership roles within your current organization or beyond, this certificate will equip you with the tools needed to achieve those goals. So whether you're transitioning from an academic setting or aiming to advance your current career path, this program is tailored to help learners succeed in the field of program evaluation. So let's explore some key outcomes you can expect to achieve upon completing this program. If I can have, thank you. So first, you'll be able to apply core philosophies, theories, and ethical considerations in your evaluation practice. This foundational knowledge will guide your approach to every aspect of program evaluation. You'll also learn how to utilize a range of evaluation tools and methodologies, and in a manner that's not only appropriate, but equitable and ethical. This means being able to select the right tools for the job while ensuring that your evaluation practices are fair and just. Taking a human-centered approach and understanding how to work with clients and other interested parties is critical to any evaluation practice. You'll learn how to work with diverse audiences and apply these skills to core practices such as assessing needs, defining the scope of an evaluation, and selecting the optimal methodology. You'll understand how to design evaluations that are both effective and aligned with the specific needs of your clients. A unique and essential component that this program incorporates is recognizing the impact of social and political systems on vulnerable and historically marginalized populations during evaluations. You'll develop an understanding of how to conduct evaluations with an acute awareness of these dynamics, ensuring your work is inclusive and socially responsible. And finally, you'll be able to make actionable recommendations. Whether it's improving programs or driving organizational change, your recommendations will be rooted in thorough analysis and aimed at achieving tangible, positive results. So these outcomes will prepare you to excel in the field of program evaluation, ensuring that your work not only meets the professional standards, but also contributes to meaningful social change. So next, let's take a closer look at some of the key highlights of our postgraduate certificate and program evaluation. So very importantly, the program is designed to be flexible. It's completely online, allowing you to study from anywhere and fit your coursework around your existing commitments. This flexibility makes it easier to balance your education with work, family, and other responsibilities. In addition to the flexibility, the program includes live synchronous sessions. So these sessions provide you with the opportunity to engage directly with your instructor and your peers in real time, which fosters a collaborative learning environment to enrich your understanding of the material. Another standout feature is our focus on practical assessments. These assessments are designed to mirror real-world experiences, ensuring that what you learn is immediately applicable to your professional practice. So you won't just be learning theory, you'll also be putting it into practice in ways that reflect the challenges you'll face in the field. And finally, the program outcomes are mapped to the competencies established by the Canadian Evaluation Society. This alignment ensures that the skills and knowledge you gain are recognized and valued within the professional community, preparing you to meet the standards expected of a program evaluator in Canada. So these highlights underscore our commitment to providing a learning experience that is not only flexible and engaging, but also directly relevant to your career and program evaluation. So next up, let's talk about some of the diverse career pathways that this postgraduate certificate can open. So graduates of this certificate will be well prepared for a variety of roles within the field of program evaluation and beyond. So some of the key positions you might consider pursuing are positions like program evaluator, program specialist, program coordinator, or program manager. And for those interested in roles that bridge research and practical application, you might explore knowledge transfer specialist, a research and program evaluation analyst, or research and impact specialist. And finally, if you have a key eye for detail and focus on standards, you might consider exploring quality assurance specialists. So these career pathways highlight the versatility and value of the skills you'll gain in the program, preparing you for a dynamic and impactful career in program evaluation and related fields. So as Michelle said, please post any questions in the chat. We'd be happy to follow up at the end of the presentation. That concludes my portion of the presentation, and I hope it was very helpful for you, provided some valuable insights into what our program offers, from the flexibility and practical focus to the diverse career pathways available. So at this point, I'd like to hand things over to Dr. Priya Nipek, the Interim Director of the School of Health Service Management, Curriculum Committee member and Program Reviewer for the Program Evaluation Program. Dr. Nipek brings a wealth of experience, and I'm sure you'll find her insights incredibly helpful as you consider joining our program.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, Aubrey, for this opportunity. I had the pleasure, because of my expertise or background in teaching program evaluation for 18 years through the School of Health Services Management, I was able to review the core courses, the 4 courses that are required for this particular certificate. And I thought, I'll just spend a couple minutes there just going through some of the particulars with regards to each of those courses, and then just some general sort of take-home messages about the field itself. So you can think of the 4 courses that you have to take as a series of courses in which you're building on skills that you're going to develop. And so for the first course, it's really just very introductory level, learning about all the core evaluation types and the tools that you can use in the industry. And it's to familiarize people with some of the industry standard toolkits that are available for evaluation researchers. And then you're going to move on from that foundation introductory level course to something that's very focused on the research applications that you'll find available in the field of evaluation research. So there's specific types of statistical analysis approaches that can be undertaken to evaluate the data that you're going to be looking at. And that applied research course or applied research and program evaluation course will actually help develop those skills for you. And then you're going to move into a course that's largely focused on stakeholder engagement and learning how to engage the variety of stakeholders that you'll encounter, from the people tied to the particular program and organization, so that you can map out and develop a particular type of program evaluation plan, to the stakeholder groups, which are the users and other people that are aligned with the program. Some of them could be resources that are affiliated with the program or directly tied internally to the program, as well as a variety of external stakeholders. But they all, as you'll see when you take the certificate, all play a valuable role. And so understanding how to work with these various stakeholder groups to leverage their knowledge and expertise towards creating the most, valuable evaluation plan possible is an important skill, and one that takes a whole bunch of learning. And so this particular course will give that to you. And then finally, you're going to put all of those pieces together in a final course where you're going to develop your own evaluation plan that's based on a program of your choosing. And you're going to engage in all the steps of the data collection, developing the tools, right down to the end portion of it, which is largely focused on dissemination. And you'll learn the various different ways in which you can disseminate the information from a particular evaluation, because it's kind of the most key and important step, because how you or what you find should be turning around and used towards process improvement within that program. So that's the whole sort of basis of the field, is to improve programs, program operations, to continually evaluate the success of various different activities and groups within the program. And then again, to turn around, take those findings and improve the operations of that particular program, towards the whole purpose of quality improvement. So I have, like I said, several years in the field myself, and I've been training students that largely come from the healthcare sector. And this is a very important role, a program evaluator within the sector. And some hospitals actually have entirely designated units for this particular activity, but it's also a government requirement for most programs to show that they're doing, or let's put it this way, performing the functions that are outlined by the particular program. So you're seeing a variety of government sectors, so public sector, as well as the private sector, depending. You'll see that this is a responsibility and a core function that's performed with those organizations. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. I apologize, my voice is going in and out. But I'm here afterwards to answer any of the questions that you might have. So I think I'll pass it on to Fiona, who is an industry expert and actually teaches one of the courses in the certificate.
Fiona, are you on the call? I know initially Fiona was having some troubles joining in, and she was going to connect in through phone. We'll give her a minute to if she can join in. And while we do that, Priya, that was really cool what you shared, and thank you for doing that. I really it was really fun to hear about the fact that you're going to be creating your own evaluation plan, right? That sounds like something that'll be really exciting to do. And then also, you know, helping improve processes and actually improving programs, right? I think that really sounds like something, if you're looking to get some experience in this area, that you will really enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
accountability.
Master, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes,
Apologies,
yes,
but
we
can you hear
can.
me
No
now?
worries.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. I have to apologize to the group. I am experiencing rolling blackouts in my area. So I wasn't able to join on Zoom, but I am on the phone. So please excuse me, and hello to everybody. So what I'm gonna do, Priya did a really good job of outlining the certificate itself. So what I think I'll do is talk a little bit about my experience of evaluation and how I sort of how I see the field sort of evolving over the last number of years, and why I think the certificate therefore is so important. I started my career in government. I started my career in the federal government, moved to Ontario provincial government, but for about the last 20 years, I've worked in government agencies, particularly in related to education and the labor market. And a lot of what we did in the government agencies that I've been in over the years is government granting. So projects in the field, working with partners, working on pilots, working on research projects, essentially testing whether or not programs work in the ecosystem. And with that, over time, has evolved with all government granting, and Priya mentioned this as well, an increased emphasis on program evaluation. So when I started doing this work about 25 years ago, which really ages me, there wasn't such an emphasis on evaluation. There were, reports delivered, that sort of thing. But the field of evaluation has become a lot more sophisticated over time. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is a growing sense from government that of accountability for public funds and how it's been spent. Another is a real interest in what's working and what's not working in an increasingly sophisticated way. And the third is sort of a development of an ecosystem or a community of practice of project partners learning from each other. And the best way to learn from each other is to have a mechanism to evaluate what's working and what's not working. So that has definitely been sort of an increasing emphasis in government granting in all sectors. As Priya will tell you, really it started in the healthcare sector, but increasingly you're seeing that across all sectors, across not-for-profits, across all government granting agencies. It's very much the norm now, as opposed to the exception to have evaluation built into all government grants. And so I want to make just wrap it up by making sort of 3 observations about this sort of emerging trend around evaluation and government grants. The first is that we're moving away from the idea that random control trials or RCTs are sort of the gold standard of evaluation, and moving towards the idea that evaluation needs to meet a program where it is and answer the questions that are most important to the program. So that could be developmental, participatory. There are a lot of different types of evaluation approaches, and the field of evaluation is becoming increasingly sophisticated in that way. The second one is that it's taking a more humanist approach. The idea that program participants need to be a real consideration, and that not one size fits all. There are issues around data ownership. There are issues around vulnerable communities that have been over-researched and have not a lot of control in that experience. So there are a lot of ways that participants are being more front-ended in the evaluation experience. And the third is really around the interest in working directly with communities, working directly with programs to figure out what evaluation process works best. We used to have much more of a sort of observer lens, objective observer lens in evaluation, and moving a little bit more towards a lens of working directly with community partners, community populations, to figure out how evaluation can be done in a more sort of informed, respectful, and integrated way. So I think I'll wrap it up that way and just say, you know, because of that, I think that the certificate is really interesting in that it really respects and meets the needs of that sort of the emerging trends in evaluation, and understands the sophistication of the evaluation field and where it's going. So that's all for me, but happy to answer questions.
Great, Fiona, thank you so much for all of that insight. I must say it's really great to see that from healthcare, the growth has expanded to all sectors, and thank you for sharing those 3 points towards the end as the trends. It's really cool to see that there is more interest in working directly with the communities, and I'm sure, you know, prospective students will be really excited to find that out. But with that, we end the information session part of it and open it up to questions. We do have a couple of questions that have trickled in, but yeah, I would urge all of our attendees to put in your questions in the Q&A section. And I'll start with the first one that's from Shivani. I know Aubrey has answered the question, but just for the group, the question was, when we talk about program evaluation, theory of change and logic model is a topic of discussion. Wondering, is this course will cover, if the course will cover this. And theory of change, as Aubrey alluded to, is covered. Theory of change and logic models are covered in CYPG 620, the first course, and you'll have the opportunity to create a logic model there. The second question is, I'm trained in results-based monitoring and evaluation. This question is from Grace Camille Monroe. And then she's asking, does the course cover this branch of evaluation? So I don't know if Aubrey, you want to answer that, or Priya?
That is a great question. I'm going to have to go back and just take a really quick look at some of the curriculum in a little bit more detail so I can answer that one.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So Grace will definitely get back to you and get in touch with you with an answer for that one. And the next question is from Haley Rutherford. Thank you, Haley, for your question. It is, I'm interested in this program as a way to upskill, as I do some program evaluation in my role as a consultant for the nonprofit sector. A real challenge I face day to day with my clients is the availability or usefulness of tools for evaluation. Most can only afford to use Microsoft or Google products. Tech literacy on the client side is also a major barrier. Does this program lean on tools available in academia? Qualtrics etc., or does it support the use of more accessible tools?
That is a great question. So we recognize that not everyone will have access to a whole host of suite of tools. And so we are really trying to rely on things that are open source, that are more included in things like Google Suite. Not to say that in courses we won't reference other types of tools, just so you might be aware of what they could be. But we're trying to focus the program on things that are most accessible to the widest audience. So that would be a focus on things like open source tools like Microsoft, or things that are available through Google. Great question, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question is, will this certificate cover design of theories of change and logical models, which we answered before, but also if it will cover grant design from the evaluation criteria perspective?
So that's another great question. So again, yes, covering the theories of change and logic models, and you will have an opportunity to develop a logic model in the first course. In terms of grant design from the evaluation criteria perspective, I'd have to look into that and maybe touch base with a few of the instructors. I don't know if Priya and Fiona might be able to speak to that for some of the courses that they've reviewed. But we are trying, we do acknowledge there are quite a few different fields and sectors in which evaluation takes place. So we are trying to cover the widest breadth as possible. All of our instructors are professionals and experts in the field. So as a learner, if you're in our courses, you can feel free to reach out to them while in your course if you have very specific questions about specific areas of program evaluation, and they can help support you in that way if they have knowledge in that area.
Yeah, because there's individual grants that we're going to have specific criteria, but holistically looking at all of the major elements that you would have to speak to for your evaluation plan for a particular grant, those areas will be covered. It's just like a matter of specifically knowing what subheading do they go under with regards to a very specific grant, but you will holistically be learning about all of the facets to build your own evaluation proposal. So.
Yeah, and if I could just add, it's Fiona on the phone. If I could just add two things. One is I noticed that the question about theory of change and logic models come up a couple of times. So I just wanted to reiterate, theory of change and logic models are fundamental tools for evaluation. So they would really be covered probably in all the courses in some way or other. I think probably in the fundamentals course, you'll sort of learn how to do them, and then you will be using those tools throughout the courses, because they really are the fundamentals, the basics of doing evaluation. But they're used differently in different evaluation approaches, and you'll be learning about that as well. The second thing I wanted to just answer really quickly is, I've lost my train of thought. Grant applications. I can't speak to the assignments in the other courses, but in my course, what we're going to do is do some of the assignments are going to be about directly using the tools and the processes that you learn about to things that are valuable to you in your workspaces. So there'll be an opportunity to say, I want to learn about how to use X in my particular environment, and do an assignment on that specifically. And I don't know if that helps, but that's what I thought of when you asked that question.
Yeah.
Great points there from everybody. Thank you. And thank you for your questions, Chavez. The next question is from Tamara. And the question is, I work in a healthcare nonprofit as a program coordinator. Will this certificate be beneficial for my field?
I can definitely jump in and say yes, for sure. As a coordinator, you definitely will be accountable for your program's performance or your various different programs. And so program evaluation will help build that piece where you can show that your program is running effectively. I mean, as a program coordinator, you're going to be involved in developing some of the metrics within that particular program that will, be used at some point in time to evaluate the efficacy of that program. So definitely understanding the whole, facet of program evaluation and the role that it plays in the larger operation of a program, you definitely will find this very, very useful, very, very valuable. Never mind the fact that as a program coordinator specifically in that field, Accreditation Canada has a number of requirements that are all tied to program evaluation, all involve using program evaluation theory and design. And so you'll definitely have at some point some responsibility or tied to that process of accreditation as a program coordinator. So it'll teach you the behind the scenes understanding of what it is you're collecting and doing in your daily, operations as a program coordinator. So it definitely will be invaluable in terms of helping you do your job.
Great, thank you so much, Priya. So the next question is, how does this program align with the Canadian Evaluation Society competencies?
That's a great question. So we are aligning with the competencies, and as we go through the course development, we're making sure each course is mapped. So once people have gone through the entire program, they will have the assurance that it is mapped to those competencies. If you have questions that are specific to the professional association, though, we do recommend that you reach out to them to get more information. So if you're example interested in heading towards designation, they would be the best source of information on that.
Awesome, thank you, Aubrey. Next question is from Haley Rutherford. Do any of the courses cover using storytelling narratives in evaluation?
So I know in the research, the quantitative research methodology portion, they will go through a variety of different types of data and how you use that various different types of information or data in this case. And so that would be a place where storytelling and narratives or any other qualitative components, how you can transition that data or use that data to effectively show the operations or functions of the program. So I feel like that would be a place. In addition, I'm sure you're probably going to see this in the stakeholder engagement course that I spoke about. Yeah. So I would imagine that's probably, sorry, Fiona, maybe you want to pick this up because I know that that's your course, though.
No, thanks. You're absolutely right. So we actually have one module dedicated to, generally, it's dedicated to a case study approach to evaluation, but very often in case study approaches to evaluation as well. A lot of Indigenous evaluation takes a storytelling approach. So we have an entire module dedicated to case studies, and we have another module that looks at particular Indigenous evaluation approaches.
Great. Next question. This is sort of from one of the FAQs. How is program evaluation becoming more critical in today's job market?
Well,
I can start this off. I spoke to this a little bit, and I'll sort of just bring it home, I suppose, which is that I think the field is growing. And Aubrey and Priya, please jump in. I think the field is growing, though, because there is an increasing requirement on the part of government, but also increasingly on the part of private sector funders, social impact funding from banks, for instance, now build evaluation into all their social impact funding. So when you are starting to build the requirement for evaluation, then you're going to also have a requirement for evaluators. And that's definitely growing. Some of the organizations, SRDC, Blueprint, Tamarack, are growing. They have been growing over the last 5 to 10 years, and they continue to grow. But the other piece is, if you are a funder or a grantor, you want to also understand how to speak to evaluators, what type of evaluation to look for, how to build evaluation into your grants. So that part of the sort of job market, I would say, is also growing. And over to Priya or Aubrey.
Yeah, no, it is growing in terms of its significance in the healthcare sector, but I mean, that's the roots of program evaluation are really, rest in the healthcare arena. So if anything, it's just, it goes without saying that it's building because, new programs are building and the way that we run programs, the whole piece of accountability that Fiona talked about much earlier, is very relevant. And so many of the aspects of program evaluation now are directly tied to the accreditation process for hospitals and other healthcare facilities, so that they're intertwined. And then if you're looking at the private sector for any healthcare organization, anytime there's money on the table, there's going to be the accountability requirement of demonstrating that not only that this money was used effectively to operate this program, but that this is the most effective way to use this money, the most effective way to run this particular program. So it's definitely ties into the whole process improvement. So there's really no question that this won't grow in significance, because if you're always looking to improve things, then you're going to be wanting to build. And in order for you to do that, you've got to set some kind of evaluation framework so you can see exactly where you're starting at. And then quarterly, every year, every other year, every 5 years, you're going to be assessing against those baseline benchmarks, right? So it's going to be something that's going to be necessary and definitely grow as we become more responsible with the use of our money, right? So especially government money. So
Great. Thanks, Priya and Fiona. And yes, I completely agree that we have seen that the field is growing. One of the components of the way we develop programs at the Chang schools, we do a lot of different types of research to ensure that the programming that we are putting forward is going to lead to direct career outcomes, as well as it's a viable industry. So we have seen that there is growing career growth in the areas of program evaluation. And just anecdotally, I have been monitoring just on LinkedIn to see what job postings have come up over the past year. And I've seen them, I've gotten significantly more alerts over since January than I was getting last year. So I definitely see more job postings, more things opening up in this area. And even if it isn't a job that's titled exactly program evaluator, as you saw on the slides earlier, there are a lot of different career options for this area that you can branch and you can go into. So it is definitely a growing field, but also one that has many, many different options that come with it.
Great, thank you for all of your contributions to that answer. The next question is from Sherry, and it's what is the current trend or weight carried in nonprofits and their program services with professional accreditations, i.e. CARF, versus having applied program evaluation training? So let me know if you want me to repeat that. Yeah, that's the question.
That's a great question. And I'm not sure if Fiona or Priya wants to take that. If not, we can always do a little bit of digging and come back to it.
So I feel like it's. Oh, sorry, Fiona, go ahead.
I was going to say, I can speak to it from a completely one person's experience point of view. And that is that, over the last 2 decades, I've worked with, a huge number of evaluators in the sector. And what the way that evaluators are very often hired is they're associated with an evaluation organization, like Social Research Demonstration Corporation, or Tamarack, or Malatest, or Blueprint, and within those organizations, they do their own hiring and vetting, and certification does come into play, but not always. So I think that experience and a solid resume and academic credential and certification all play a part, but one of them in particular is not necessarily more important than another from my personal experience. It may be very different in the healthcare sector.
So it's largely driven in the healthcare sector by Accreditation Canada. What needs to be done, what has to be done, what should be done, and obviously those requirements are always changing. From the standpoint that the engagement piece that Fiona had mentioned with regards to the user groups, the participants, that front-facing aspect has grown enormously, and in that whole development of patient-centered care. That voice is the first voice, and it's the most important. And if anything, what I see that has shifted is the requirements around how you're building your evaluation plan and who you weight in terms of the significance of the stakeholders that you need to engage to show value or demonstrate value in your particular program. There's been a huge increase in, just representation of various different groups of patients, and then representation of families of patients, and so on and so forth. So if anything, I've seen those kinds of shifts, but definitely it goes without saying that this is, and I guess because there's origins and roots to program evaluation being such a significant portion of healthcare and the delivery of healthcare services, which are usually, framed around particular programs. It goes without saying that if we start there, then obviously it's going to be a significance within the sector, and then it's just kind of grown over decade that we've seen these requirements change and become more specific. But it's in this field, if you have these skills, they will only be used as valuable, added in terms of you being able to become employed in that sector. So, but as also Fiona added, there are other sectors, like even the banking sector, there's definitely more accountability now. And so you're seeing this evaluation framework requirement that would be an early newer introduction based on various different funding portfolios that they demonstrate value added in this way using this particular approach. So it has, trickled into several different sectors.
Great. Thank you for that insight, Priya. We currently don't have any more open questions, but I had one last question here. What role does program evaluation play in organizational decision making?
So again, I'll be speaking about it through the healthcare sector. And so, it's pivotal, right? So your findings from any program evaluation, whether that be something that you're looking at, on a short period because you're focusing on a specific process or activity, or you're focusing, every 5 years or every year on the outcomes of that particular program and whether they're meeting what, we set out for this program to do. They're pivotal. Those types of decision making around a way a program is going to operate is entirely woven into or decided based on what comes out of these program evaluations. So essentially, just like anything else, if you want to make a change or you're going to go make a decision about a particular operation of a program, it's got to be rooted in some kind of data source. And so that information that you're using to guide that change or make those decisions is entirely tied to program evaluation. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I would echo that in the sort of education, labor market, not-for-profit sectors that I work in. I would say it's not evaluation in non-healthcare sectors. It does not have quite the same history and is not quite as rigorous in some ways. Priya mentioned that, rigorous evaluation, RCTs, really came out of medical trials. So the healthcare sector has a very long history of using evaluation for program development and improvement. Other sectors, it really depends on the sector, but overall, yes, absolutely. An evaluation is only done if you're going to use it to point the way to what you should do next. And very often it's critical in building, for not-for-profits, it's critical in building funding. So the better your evaluation, the more you can show that your program works, the more that you can pull funding from other sources. And that is a really, really important part of not-for-profit evaluation.
Yeah, and I mean, if I can just piggyback on that one last thing, the whole notion of program efficiency, that is born out of program evaluation. So, if we're not going to do more, can we do this more effectively with a given fixed set of resources that we have? And that whole piece of efficiency is just the largest portion and focus in the healthcare domain and space right now because there is such a limited amount of resources that need to be stretched and the dollars are fixed. And so let's see how we can do this more efficiently. And we're always doing that through some type of program evaluation. So. Yeah.
That is great. So good. Love all the different perspectives provided from the different sectors. And yeah, I think this is where our Q&A, we are at time, so our Q&A is done. Thanks to all of our speakers and everyone else that joined in to attend our information session. If you're interested in learning more or enrolling in courses related to the program evaluation certificate, you can visit our website at continuing.toronto.ca or directly get in touch with me at my email that's on the screen here. We will be sending a follow-up email with the information that was shared and a survey within 24 to 48 hours. So finally, on behalf of the Shanks School, our presenters and guest speakers, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.